Breaking news, a shootout in Philadelphia near Temple University leaves multiple police officers wounded. The search is on for the gunman. We'll have the latest on this developing story. Also tonight, new warning signs of a recession send stock prices plummeting. The president blames the Fed, others blame his trade war. What does it mean for your finances? We'll give you the bottom line. A window opens for victims of sex abuse long ago to seek justice now. Hundreds of suits are filed today against churches and schools, the Boy Scouts, and Jeffrey Epstein. CBS News talks exclusively to one of his accusers. Congressman Steve King taking heat, including from some fellow Republicans, over his controversial remarks about rape and incest. Eye on America, families torn apart by federal roundups of undocumented workers. Why wasn't a single employer charged? The dangers of vaping. Prosecutors compare Juul to dope dealers and take the company to court. And blazing a trail across a soccer field. A woman is making history in a men's match.
This is the CBS Evening News with Norah O'Donnell, reporting tonight from Washington.
Good evening. This is our Western edition. We're going to begin tonight with some breaking news and a story we've been following out of Philadelphia. A gunman opened fire on police late today, and at least 6 officers were shot. Now, witnesses report hearing hundreds of shots near Temple University's Health and Sciences building, which was locked down. And this drew a massive police response. Jerika Duncan is at the scene with the latest.
Norah, the police commissioner just held a news conference calling this a volatile situation. Police were called to this scene about 2 blocks away because they were serving a narcotics warrant, and the police commissioner described police officers and people inside of the house apparently escaping through windows and then shots being fired at police officers. Hundreds of police converged on this scene, and even neighbors here said that it sounded like hundreds of rounds of gunfire were fired at one point. We have heard those gunshots throughout the night. Sources tell CBS News that at least 2 officers are still inside the home in question. We spoke to 4 women that were coming out of the home and being escorted by police, who said that police saved them and that they were on the 2nd floor of that home where those shots were being fired from. As of right now, 6 police officers who were shot in that shootout. The police commissioner saying that they are in stable condition and are expected to be okay, but this is still a very active scene and situation. You see a lot of people still out here. Police have even moved us back a couple hundred yards since we first arrived because it is an active situation and very dangerous. Norah?
All right, Jerika Duncan with the very latest. Thank you, Jerika. Now to the economy, the other big story today, and new fears that the record 10-year-old expansion may be nearing an end. We got a warning sign today in the form of a government bond. The interest rate on that bond dropped to levels that have been a reliable indicator that a recession is coming. Now, that had investors dumping stock. Look at this. The Dow fell more than 3%. Don Dahler is on Wall Street.
The symbol of Wall Street might be a steadfast bull, but traders reacted like skittish colts to today's news. A key signal that a recession may well be just around the corner sent the Dow plunging 800 points. Diane Swong, chief economist at Grant Thornton, says investors are fleeing stocks for safety in bonds.
The easiest way to understand it is that basically long-term rates, anything that's out there that's more than a year, or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, those rates are now lower than short-term rates. It means you're not willing to place a bet on the future. And that's the fear, is that this could actually trigger a credit crisis.
But it doesn't mean a recession is imminent. Historically, it could take 18 to 24 months to arrive, if at all. In this case, a recession could come right around the 2020 election. The other factor influencing the market sell-off, a global economic slowdown. China, embroiled in a trade war with the U.S., reported its slowest growth figures since 1992. Japan's economic growth decreased to 1.8%. Germany's economy shrank with exports lagging, and much of Europe followed suit, with production plunging the most in 3 years as its economic expansion cools.
This will undoubtedly put pressure on the Federal Reserve and its chairman, Jerome Powell, to cut interest rates. Powell has been a target of scathing criticism from President Trump. over the Fed's monetary policies. Norah.
Don Naylor, thank you for what it all means. Joining us now is CBS News financial analyst Jill Schlesinger. So, Jill, are we headed for a recession? And what does this news mean for investors and consumers?
Well, whether or not we get to a recession remains to be seen. But here's what we know for investors. Uncertainty around trade is causing a lot of consternation. I know it's tough to look at those 401k statements, but look, just stick to that long-term game plan. For consumers, there's actually a little bit of a silver lining here. As bond prices go up and yields go down, that means the cost of borrowing is dropping. So if your family can afford it, now may be a very good time to make a large purchase, like a home with a mortgage or a car with a car loan. So it's not all bad. Try to keep very clear here that this is not put in the book yet. Really run your life as if this were just any old day.
All right, Jill Schlesinger, good information. Thank you. In New York State today, a one-year window opened for victims of sexual abuse to seek justice, no matter how long ago the abuse occurred. 427 suits were filed by the close of business. Mola Lenghi reports one of the suits involves a woman who claims Jeffrey Epstein raped her when she was a teenager.
Jennifer Arose filed a civil lawsuit at 12:01 this morning that she couldn't have filed yesterday. Because of the new Child Sex Act, she can go after her alleged abusers. Her filing is the first to target not only Jeffrey Epstein's estate, but possible co-conspirators. It specifically names Epstein's ex-girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, and 3 Jane Does, referred to as the recruiter, the secretary, and the maid. Maxwell has denied all wrongdoing and has not been criminally charged. Kimberly Lerner is Arose's attorney.
He didn't do this alone. He had people working for him, people working with him, and he had people that enabled his entire operation.
Prosecutors estimated Epstein's estate to be worth at least $500 million.
How much are you seeking from Epstein's estate?
We're seeking significant damages because she's incurred significant damages.
Jennifer Arose didn't speak on camera today, but she channeled her emotions by writing an op-ed published in the New York Times. "I'm angry he won't have to personally answer to me in the court of law, but my quest for justice is just getting started."
Once something like this happens, it lives on with you forever.
Michelle Licata was a teenager in Florida when she says she was lured with an offer of money to Jeffrey Epstein's estate. That is where she says he sexually violated her.
I never wanted him to die. I mean, I just wanted him to sit there like I had to sit there after it happened and thinking like, oh my gosh, no one's ever gonna love me. I can't ever be with anybody. A good "I'm sorry" would have been good enough. I didn't deserve to not be a teenage girl anymore.
We're told that it is possible that the federal government could assist in these civil cases against Epstein by seizing his hundreds of millions of dollars of assets, including his properties and private jets, and then Norah creating a fund for the victims.
All right, Mola Lenghi, thank you. Tonight, Democrats and fellow Republicans are blasting Iowa Congressman Steve King over new comments he made on abortion. King is opposed to all abortions with no exceptions for rape or incest. Ed O'Keefe on what King said and the reaction.
Speaking in Iowa this morning, Republican Congressman Steve King defended an anti-abortion bill he's written that would not allow exceptions for rape or incest.
What if it was okay, and what if we went back through all the family trees and just pulled those people out that were products of rape and incest? Would there be any population of the world left if we did that?
King, who has a history of making controversial remarks, implied he may have been a product of rape or incest.
Considering all the wars and all the rape and pillage that's taken place and whatever happened in culture after society, I know I can't certify that they're not part of a product of that.
House Republican leaders quickly denounced King's statements. The third-ranking House Republican, Liz Cheney of Wyoming, said King needs to step down and that his constituents deserve better. Several Democratic presidential candidates also said King must go.
You would think it would be pretty easy to come out against rape and incest?
Long considered the most anti-immigrant lawmaker in Congress, Republicans have denounced him in the past, including when he told the New York Times, "White nationalist, white supremacist, Western civilization. How did that language become offensive?" That comment prompted House Republicans to strip King of all committee assignments. Norah, late today, King suggested he will not resign. A vote to expel him from the House would require the backing of 2/3 of his fellow members.
All right, Ed O'Keefe with all those important details. Thank you. Our new special contributor, Maria Elena Salinas, has been looking into the massive roundup of undocumented workers in Mississippi and the devastating impact it has had on families. 680 food plant workers were arrested last week, but none of the people who employed them illegally were charged. Maria Elena shows you how one family is struggling to get by without a husband and father in tonight's Eye on America.
It seems like a normal morning routine in a household full of kids.
My dad not being here is like very different.
But it's far from normal.
Now that his dad's gone, he's not frustrated, aggressive. He's very angry and we don't know how to handle it.
She's thrust into an adult role, but Angela Sorak is just a vulnerable 13-year-old.
I still want my dad. I really do. He wasn't perfect, but I really did love him. And I still do, but I miss him.
We met Angela and her mother Ingrid, who has 6 kids ages 3 to 17 under her care. She has 3 more from her sister-in-law, who was swept up in the raids. Her husband, who is undocumented, is the sole provider and the one that looks after their 7-year-old son, who has autism.
Every day I look at my kids crying. There's no word, there's no.
Of the 680 people detained, around 300 of them were released, some for humanitarian reasons and others with court dates. But Ingrid's husband, Neddy Sorak, was not one of them.
You know that there's a chance that your husband could be deported.
Yeah.
What would you do if that happens?
I don't know.
Neddy's arrest ended up being a case of collateral damage. He did not work at this plant, one of 7 raided by ICE, but he was here in this parking lot dropping off his sister when agents arrived and detained 243 workers. Being at the wrong place at the wrong time has had a devastating effect on his family. Did you understand before this your parents' immigration status? Did you ever talk about that as a family?
We did had conversations about it. Like if it ever comes to like, police cars are close and they're like, you know, if this happens, we just want you to know that we love you very much.
Cook Foods, where Neddy dropped off his sister for work, say they comply with immigration laws, but can still not know if some of their workers are unauthorized. We sat down with Mike Hurst, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Mississippi. He says his office has been investigating the employers who hired undocumented workers.
Why are the employees immediately detained and put in jail and separated from their families when you have these employers and managers who are home free with their families while the others are being detained?
Right. What I would tell you is I hope the outcry and the passion that is put towards this week and these families and these children separated from their families, I hope that's put towards every person that commits a crime and every person that puts their child in that situation.
I understand, but you didn't answer the question. I'm asking you specifically about the last operation here, and why is it that you have hundreds of people in jail and you have these employers or managers who hired them and broke the law home with their families?
Well, I'm not going to say right now what the status of the criminal investigation is.
Investigations aside, for this family, the absence of their father increases their pain and frustration with each passing day.
It's not easy to lose a family member because you have a very special bond with them.
We can only imagine the pain that you're going through.
It's different of imagining and experiencing it, you know?
And Maria Elena joins us tonight. So what did you learn about where this investigation into the employers stands?
Well, the investigation is ongoing, as you heard from Mr. Hurst. It's ongoing, but what's perplexing is that this investigation has been going on for 6 months, yet he says they don't have enough evidence to prosecute these employers who hired undocumented workers, and the undocumented workers are detained. A study from Syracuse University shows that only 11 employers who have hired undocumented workers have been prosecuted nationwide, yet none of them have been in Mississippi. And by the way, the family was contacted by ICE, and they will be able to meet with their father. They will be able to visit him in detention. That's about 2 hours away from their home.
Important reporting tonight, Maria Elena. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nora.
And next on the CBS Evening News, new warnings about the dangers of teen vaping and a new lawsuit against the leading maker of e-cigarettes. Later, we've got breaking news in the U.S. women's soccer team's battle for equal pay. There are developments tonight in America's teen vaping crisis. A new lawsuit in Illinois targets the #1 maker of e-cigarettes. As Dean Reynolds reports, this follows public health warnings in 3 states of possible lung damage in teenagers caused by vaping.
Like, how far can you go with nicotine before it's, like, dangerous?
It may look like fun, but the health risk from teen vaping is why Lake County, Illinois is now the first municipality in the country to take the vaping industry leader, Juul, to court. Michael Neerheim is the county prosecutor.
Like dope dealers on a street corner, Juul intentionally created addicted teen customers to get them to continuously come back for life.
A spokesman for Juul said, "We have never marketed to youth. We have no higher priority than to prevent youth usage of our products." That priority wasn't entirely clear when Juul's vaping products were introduced in 2015 as a somehow safer alternative to real cigarettes. While Juul last year stopped store sales of its fruity-flavored nicotine pods popular with kids, you can still get them online or from copycat pods adaptable to Juul devices. And increasingly, hospitals are admitting teens with serious lung damage from vaping unregulated, off-the-street cartridges that could contain just about anything. More than 20 young people across 3 states have required treatment.
Have you seen this issue increase in the last couple of years?
Absolutely. I see patients on a daily basis who are vaping.
Many businesses here, like this store behind me, require their patrons to be 21 or older, and yet it's estimated that nationwide, more than 3 million high school students and 570,000 middle school students are using e-cigarettes. Norah?
Incredible numbers. Dean Reynolds, thank you. Coming up, what we've just learned about the U.S. women's soccer team and its battle for equal pay. There is breaking news tonight about the U.S. women's soccer team and its battle for equal pay. Mediation today with the U.S. Soccer Federation broke down. A team rep says the players feel, quote, sorely disappointed in the Federation's determination to perpetuate fundamentally discriminatory workplace conditions and behavior. Remember, the women won their 4th World Cup last month, but earned less than a quarter of what the U.S. men's team would have been paid for the same feat. They say they're looking forward to a jury trial. And we'll be right back.
When you can't watch the evening news on TV, don't worry. We've got you covered. Subscribe to our podcast, sponsored by Liberty Mutual.